Now, of course, today is the first Tuesday of the month, so we have a rate announcement at 2:30. There'll be a real absenteeism of players around that time, so we'll obviously want to join that group. They're on the sidelines. There has been some reasonable moves in the lead up to that, so we'll certainly look for that. The fact that they're marked in grey is because we're expecting the market to want to look towards these areas, but they're pretty outdated. So definitely we'd be looking for shorts off this area. We might even be able to get something a little earlier. So by all accounts, we should have plenty of longs up in this area. It's quite significant, isn't it, that move up last night? But it's pretty evident where the new areas of value are. And there's all the longs. Look at that. With such a small quantity of shorts, that's enough to get them out for sure. So that being the case, we've got certainly enough longs here to continue a move down and even further. We might even get a short down to this area, perhaps to go deep. Saying that because we couldn't really push all the way up to our transition area. Let's see if we can get on a short. Onside short from 85, added at 83, on the bid at 81, should get done given the weakness. As we see 81 start to shave down and supply building up, there we go, done. Quick short, add, out. When I said before, I'm pretty sure I'll get done at, even though it's a transition area, right at the 81 is because we didn't push up. So that shows me a lack of strength and therefore was expecting us to push a bit through. Short again. So they're really trying to lift 81. Outcome known now. So now it's more machine-based environment. So when the pace picks up, that's when I want to bring out the 10 tick and there's just a ton of failures. So here's where I was talking about all of the failures tell you to get out. Also as a transition area. So I'll look again to have a short. Lots of two-sided trading at 78 taking place now. Happy to have a probe there, knowing that there's plenty of business. Onside already with 78s, having hit 78. Offside now. Apply at 79, bit of a battle and lots of two-sided business taking place there. So looking for, there's protective orders under these two failures here, obviously. Renewed buying here, we just saw all that take place, but this is still very much in play. Now, why am I thinking about this? Because I've already seen the market fail to take out the other side, and that's often indicative of a lack of strength. So looking for potentially the opportunity to add, and through our wall of defense, 77 is a wall of defense, so let's just see if we hold. A lot of machine-based stuff here going on. Acceptance is moving to the downside. You can see someone hitting the bid there. All right, so this is covering. So here comes that supply again at 75. Look at all the lows to the left of where we currently are, 500 tick chart. It's an absolute ton of them. So you know that beneath that, there are plenty of protective orders. Now, we're not expanded on the 100 tick. We also have a transition area at 74. We've already seen the market push deeply into these transition areas today on the downside and not being able to get up to them on the upside. A little bit of new buying fuel in, bit of a suck out of liquidity. Now we can look to try and get some shorts. We want to take out this pre-1030 low because we just weren't seeing the strength to the upside this morning, and we've been seeing depth. Got to keep trying to take some out here because we are not moving through. It's interesting to see the game, isn't it? Just the nonsense that occurs. But what we want to do is just take cues from the market. So you've got multiple failures there. So you take money. But you can also appreciate why a lot of traders get caught because everyone's waiting for this to push through. So a whole bunch of sellers enter down here and they've just got no cushion. They've got to sit with a heap of risk and they cover and they'll reverse and they fuel the next continuation. Acceptance growing out there at 72 and lots of new buying off the lows. What's in play? Is there something in play to give us another crack at a short there? Absolutely. Session VWAP. So being aware of the game is knowing that there's definitely a skew to the downside. There's definitely a ton of protective orders down here. We do have a caveat to that value is above us. So if you're getting an entry around here, like 74, that's fine. It doesn't mean you have to cap a losing trade at scratch. You might take a tick or two. You're just playing sensible tactics. So outcome known, I think it's pretty obvious to the whole market what's taken place. And we've certainly seen a shift to quite a complex environment. So that skew to the downside, while VWAP's certainly in play, so there's clearly some selling that's taking place at VWAP. This is what we're currently dealing with. Look at all the short interest around this current area. So, that just lets you know to be conservative when you've got enough evidence this short's not working out. So all of this selling down the bottom, yeah, sure. There was some puking. That was the main contributor there. And there's a little bit before that, but you'd have to think this is probably new shorts in here. So it's whether or not there's enough buying that them sweating it out overpowers these sellers not being allowed to get out. Because that's what the market's about. It's about keeping traders offside until they have to puke into the market. We've got some orders down here, certainly this one. So I don't want to hit a short here. I'm happy to accumulate some shorts, and if it starts to go the other way, I can just nip out of it. Potentially looking for this move to get down to our next transition area, but also to get through all of those protective orders that absolutely, without question, will be in here. So this caught my eye, 76, and then that 35, so it's 100 lot. And then look at this, hardly any liquidity. So you don't think that there's a relationship between the fact that a whole heap of longs lifted the market, convinced it was going to go up, and then liquidity gets pulled, and all of a sudden these longs are under pressure and they're now threatening. Here's what helps the situation. The pace has now picked up. Can you see that? The pace has picked up. So there's complacency in here because the market was quite relaxed and peaceful. Now, if you want to start to put the traders under pressure, just speed the whole process up to make it more stressful in making decisions. That is an absolute tactic. But again, we need to get some buyers caught. The pace picks up for a reason. It's all part of the game. Here we go. Trying to get some shorts. So I'm leaning on the minimal acceptance. If you've been following through, you would have had some short from up in here and just held. We never got above session VWAP. Added at 70. So the key takeaways from that were the inability of the market to move into the transition area up here. That was a key for me about weakness to the downside. So that led to then looking for moves deep into transition areas below us, or on the downside, I should say. And then here it is here. See this next transition area? We moved deeply. So now you have evidence the market is moving deep into transition areas. And that was an evolving story. So obviously I didn't know about that until we got to here. And then this was the supporting evidence that we kept going through it. We had the play to take out the opening, I should say pre-1030 low. And then once we let HKE kind of settle in, it was evident session VWAP was in play. Why I'm going over this is see how we're just bringing the multiple points of evidence, we're just accumulating them. So when we're trading in here, what else did we have? We've got the lows from the US session and earlier today. Had some larger orders down at that transition area in the depth. In here, we hadn't quite got to expansion. We have now, obviously. Oh, there's two more things. So I just take it back. So in here, we started going, oh, look at all this selling. It's not great for us. Market's likely to push up. Low acceptance here at 76. That pushes up. So after all that selling at the lows, pushes up to session VWAP. No acceptance. You can see that. That was then followed by new longs. And here's one of the keys. Why were those longs coming in? Those longs were coming in because the market had got to this sort of complacent state. So the final observation was then when liquidity was sucked out after those longs came in, forcing them offside, and this was the nail in the coffin now, to create stress test, if you like, decision making, basically put them under the pump. Pace all of a sudden picked up in the DOM. We had nothing ever show us that this market was long. Also said, don't get any shorts down here at the lows. That's nuts. Okay to work off the edges up here. Yeah, and a couple of times you would have sat through this and got what? A couple of ticks of heat. The mistake I made is not looking for the deep move here. However, having said that, I did start to see multiple failures. Here it is here. There's a big chunk there. That was the one there. I went, oh, that's likely to use up fuel. So I was out a little bit early. Again, it gets back to the trades that pay are always those that have developed narrative and hypothesis behind them. Market's too much of a competitive environment. The idea is that you want basically to be doing that for every trade.